Hi, I'm Greg Ulan with Reynolds and Reynolds, and this is Connected. You can watch or listen to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. And if you like what you hear today, please make sure to subscribe so you're notified as new episodes are released. Today, we're going to talk with Brad Schaefer, director and founder of ReconTrack, and Anthony Montero, COO of Draver. We're going to talk about basically flipping used cars faster with inventory kind of staying tight out there right now. Let's get connected. Brad, Anthony, it's great to have you both here today. Thanks so much for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Be here. Thanks.
Yep, absolutely. So in today's world, inventory continues to be quite an issue. So I'm excited to get input from both of you on how you're seeing dealers handle it. But before we dive in, can both of you maybe give a little bit of your background? Anthony, you want to go ahead and start?
Sure. I'm a relic in the business. I've been in the car business since 1989. Started selling cars in the front line. Became a manager and a general manager. Early 1996, I met a guy named Haim Zamani. We started an internet car buying site in 1996 called AutoWeb.com. And within 3 years, we were able to take that company public, and that was an amazing journey to be out in the front of car buying on the internet in 96 through 2000. We moved to California, did the whole .com bubble thing. So that was a very interesting journey. But from there, learned a lot, started a consulting company of how to sell cars on the internet, and ended up with John Traver. And shortly thereafter, ADP came in and bought John Traver. So I became an ADP employee. I quickly moved out of that business and went to join a good friend of mine, David Rosenberg, at the Prime Motor Group, and worked with him for many years up in Boston, putting together BDCs and technology around how to better coordinate leads coming in and calls and word tracks. Fast forward, got recruited by Sonic Automotive Group and went to work for them for several years at their corporate office in Charlotte. How to create BDCs and processes, and taking technology. And the technology they had was eLead. And they actually brought me to Destin. That's where I'm at now, Destin, Florida, to work in the eLead office as a Sonic employee, standardizing processes around software. They hired me at eLead. I stayed there for 9 years as a product VP. And again, ADP, which is now CDK, came and bought eLead. So I decided I didn't want to do that. And here I am working, started Draver with a partner of mine, Sarif Hawk, and we're moving cars at scale with technology.
Excellent. All right. Great background. Brad, go ahead.
Much like Anthony, I think I could call myself a relic as well. I grew up as a son of a Matco tool salesman, so I've been around the shops my whole life, and about 25 years in retail with some of the big boys. I was with AutoNation for a while, Asbury, JM Family. I was the fixed ops director for the largest Lexus dealer in the country for about that. I think they were there for about 25 years, and then I started ReconTrack, focusing on reconditioning vehicles through the shop. So that's where I'm at today.
Isn't it amazing how everybody in this industry, I swear, once it's in your blood, you can't
Right.
get out, right? You just stay in one way, shape, or form. It's too fun being a part of this industry to get out of it. So no, it's great
Not to jump off track here, but it's a real quick funny story. When I first got in the business, my degree's in architecture, and went to school in Boston. I'm working at this big architectural firm. Stock market crashes and I get fired, right? They lay me off. So my neighbor says, let's go sell cars. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And the second week, the manager, Bob Campo, looked at me. He goes, dude, you're a lifer. And this was in Boston with the heavy accent. And I had no idea what he was talking about. He said, you're a lifer. You'll be here for life. And I'm like, it'll never happen. And here I am 30 plus years later.
That's how it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's too much fun. That's why.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, let's start by setting the stage a little bit. Obviously, demand right now is still outpacing supply, new and used. It's no news there. But on average, I'm just thinking about that outpacing. On average, right now, how long is a car sitting on the lot before it's sold?
Gosh, it's probably a week or maybe less because some of the vehicles are actually being sold before they even get to the retail lots.
You know, the reconditioning piece of it is funny, right? People like to say, well, we get this car out in 3 days, but they forget to talk about things like, Anthony's moving these cars around, and things like, I needed to send it down to the competitive dealer to get a recall done. I needed to get the car, moved around the shop. I mean, internal communication is terrible. So believe it or not, these reconditioning of a vehicle historically has been around 12 days. 12.2 days is what we see on average. Because when you start to talk about stocking the cars in, doing the first check, getting the car through the shop, through the body shop, you add up these cars that left, for a recall for a week and a half, 2 weeks. It's bigger than you think it is. So there's some varying numbers out there, but we've seen excessive of 12 days in total.
Yeah, and on top of it, that compiles this problem is the actual movement of the vehicle, and that's kind of where we've come in working with reconditioning operations to say, hey, you're taking 2 days off of the recon process, 3 days or 4 days. What about the time from when the vehicle's acquired? There's a lot of vehicle acquisition going on now that's just not trade-ins. People and companies are buying vehicles directly from consumers or directly in repair shops. So how quickly can I get that vehicle from the acquisition point into the recon center? And then once it comes through recon, how fast can I get it out onto my retail lot? Or in some cases, directly into the customer's driveway as it comes out of recon. So, if you take all that wasted time and put efficient processes around it, you really get down to a 4 or 5 day total process.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if you think about it, I mean, if time from the lot to the sale is whatever, 5 to 7 days, like you said, Anthony, a week or less, but it's 12 days from acquisition to the lot. I don't think anybody would argue that shrinking that 12 days down is a problem they'd like to fix. But I guess it's a fairly obvious one. So what's preventing dealers from attacking it and fixing that problem in that lag time?
There's a ton of problems right now, right? You've got technician shortages. We've talked about that in previous podcasts. It's getting worse, right? People are very difficult to find. Internal processes. I mean, some of the worst communication is interdepartmental, right? I mean, if you ever body shop to sales and finance to the accounting department, you do fairly decent job in internally in your department, but when you're dealing with a used car, I mean, this thing's touching everybody, right? I'm trying to reach out to Anthony to move cars. We're trying to get that car stocked in, inspected. We're trying to get the parts. There's just a ton of problems that can keep this car from getting to the front line quickly. And right now, the faster you can move these cars, the faster you can reinvest your money, because you're going to sell that car quickly. So it's never more important.
Yeah, and teeing off of what Brad just said, is finding technicians is one thing, but now you have this whole issue of trying to find porters in entry level wage employees to come and work at that 15 to $20 an hour range, and the dealers can't find them because they're still getting some stimulus checks or they're doing these other jobs that are paying more than that. And the other thing is it's very unstable because when you look at that position, you might need to move 10 cars today and 40 tomorrow. So you end up with the staffing issue of I don't know what my volume is and I'm sending these guys home early, or I don't have enough work for them, or I have too much work and I don't have enough of those people. So I'm not able to move the cars. So it's really, really hard to manage right now without some of these processes and software applications that we'll talk about.
I was talking to a dealer a couple of weeks ago out of Indiana. The body shop issue or body shop industry as a whole. I mean, it's so difficult to find people, even worse in the service departments in a lot of areas. He was going to be shutting his body shop down if he lost another tech. He'd had wrecks out for months, and he had just kind of slowly over years continued to lose people, and he was getting ready to shut the body shop down as a whole, which is insane to me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, so thinking about these issues and maybe even inventory as a whole, What are you guys seeing on the horizon? What are you hearing out there? What are you seeing yourselves? Any relief coming down the pipe here?
Yes and no. I mean, obviously, we've all heard about the chip shortages and parts and, depreciation. We'll talk a little bit about the depreciation of vehicles right now. I mean, we always use our mathematical formulas on how much you're losing. Yeah, it's kind of been the opposite way the last year. If you had a bunch of cars, it's kind of like an asset. You're making money on these things, but that's not going to be forever, right? As these cars start to hit, there's such a pent up demand for new cars right now. You've got thousands of cars sitting in the ports waiting for a chip or waiting for an armrest. As those things hit the market, you're going to have those cars plus the normal production of vehicles hitting these stores with a massive demand for sales, right? Which what's that going to do? That's going to dump used cars into the market, and when that pendulum swings, it's going to be like nothing we've ever seen, right? Higher demand than we've ever seen on new. When those hit at almost a double capacity from normal production plus the parts we're waiting for, you're going to have a ton of used cars coming in. So we don't know exactly when that will be, but that will be at some point in the future. So it's time to get your house in order today, right? Those that are sitting around, sulking that they don't have a lot of business right now. You got to be ready for the future, and that time is right now.
Yeah, and again, on that point, you've got all these vehicles sitting at the ports ready to go, and when these parts come in and these chips hit, now you've got this huge influx of vehicles that need to be moved somewhere. In the logistics that needs to be in place to get them on your lot, and then when they're on your lot, to be able to make sure that you're able to get those vehicles somewhere else if you need them to. Lot rebalancing between dealer to dealer. Somebody wants the Toyota at the Ford store, so if dealers plan today for all of this influx of vehicles coming into their lots, and then this new wave of used cars that are going to be available as more trades come in, how do I plan today to make sure all of these logistics and processes are in place so I can handle it and I don't get caught flat-footed?
Yeah, forever. You call Mike from the service department to run that car down the street, or Lisa to take that car, around the corner. You don't have those associates now, right? There's no valets. There's no, it's a weird time in our industry.
Yeah.
Think about the lack of communication, right? You've got the parts guy, you've got the service manager, and you've got the sales manager, all telling these people to do all these things of moving cars here and moving them there, but none of them are really talking to each other. You touched on that point. Is the sales manager calling the service manager to say, hey, I have a service pickup and delivery, and I've got a home delivery, and I also need a car that goes to recon? What if you can connect all those together and just make it happen real easily, and take away some of the cost and make it happen faster?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. All right, guys. Well, I want to be obviously respectful of your time. What else haven't we talked about that we should? Anything you guys want to touch on that we haven't already discussed?
A little bit, not just automotive, right? I mean, how many times have you seen a sign in the store that you're going into letting you know you're going to get bad service, right? I mean, that's insane, right? You walk into a restaurant and they're telling you right up front, we're going to provide bad service. I don't remember in my lifetime that I've ever seen anything like this before. And I mean, it's true. We're short on people, but the great operators are going to figure this deal out, right? I mean, forever we've been competing with our other competitors down the street that have the product, and it's going to get back to that. So right now is the opportunity to figure this deal out, right? I mean, figure out why people don't want to work for you, and fix that today, or find the people that do, and get your customer service and get your business in order today. So that's it. I mean, it's just great operators, like I said, are gonna win in the long run. And right now is a prime opportunity to get your business in order, because others aren't, and they think they have an excuse to do so. So it's kind of it on my side.
Yeah, Brad's right. Customer service is really lacking. So as a dealer operator, if you can get creative and be innovative, think about how you could wow a customer with what we're talking about right now. Customer goes online, finds a vehicle they like before it even hits the front lot. They watch it go through the recon process, And then they watch it show up in their driveway like a DoorDash coming down the road, nice and shiny in their driveway. How about that for a customer experience and a wow, that was really cool. So, dealers have to really get innovative because the market is changing. And if you don't put these software applications and processes in place, you're going to fall way behind from the folks that are thinking that way and are going to deliver those services to really wow their customers.
Great. All right. Well, Brad, Anthony, really appreciate both of you taking time. For anybody that wants to learn a little bit more about Recontract and about Draver, where should they go visit?
Recontract.com.
And www.draver.com.
All right, sounds great. We can put links in the notes for this show as well. So again, appreciate both of your time, and good luck out there. Have fun, and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks for having us.
It was great talking with both Brad and Anthony today about all the way from acquisition to frontline ready best practices and what they see coming on the horizon. Before we hop off, remember you can always watch or listen on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Make sure to subscribe so you're notified as new episodes are released. Thanks for joining today, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.